Y'all, this is why when I was in high school, I was nice to everybody. I wasn't discriminating. I wasn't discriminating. I wasn't pushing anybody to the side. Anybody who didn't have friends, I was always trying to be their friend. Anybody who was lonely, I was trying to help them not be lonely. I was trying to do that because I always said this. I said this all the time. I am not trying to get on somebody's bad side and they come after me. With that being said, I hope we learned a valuable lesson from this film. Let's treat us all equally so we ain't got nobody coming after us, y'all. What's poppin', y'all? We back with another movie recap from Netflix. Today we are going through the film Time Cut. This came out a few weeks ago. It is on Netflix, and actually, this movie was actually pretty good, y'all. I'm not gonna cap. These indie movies, honestly, the indie movies are pretty good overall. I've seen, as of late. Earlier in the year, it was kind of lacking, but I actually really enjoyed this movie. This movie had a post-dystopian effect, Back to the Future settings going on here. Basically, these kids get killed in the beginning of the movie, and then we flash forward 20 years later to current time, and there's this time machine, and the girl goes back in time, and she tries to fix the errors of the past and make her life better for some. Not everyone got out alive. Of course, you know how they had to do away with the brothers, but we'll get there. We'll get there. But yes, this film Time Cut stars Madison Bailey. She is on Outer Banks. If you don't know who that is, she's probably like one of the top of the top of the top right now. So she's very blessed at the moment. She is our lead protagonist, along with her sister Antonia Gentry. She's playing Summer, her deceased, non-deceased sister, Back to the Future sister. Her sister? What is with that? Michael Shanks as Gil Field. That is the father, and Griffin Gluck as Quinn. Those are our four main people, and then we got few others: Megan Best, Samuel Braun, Sydney Sebastian, Kateem O'Connor, and Rachel Crawford to round out the principal ensemble. Now, when I first looked at this movie was actually, they really gave the nostalgic feeling to it with the throwback songs, with the way people dress. They really did a good job. I'm gonna give props to the crew because they definitely came through on this film, and it kept me entertained and intertwined the whole time. I didn't find myself dozing off or getting bored or anything because the pace was real nice. The movie was like, I believe, a little less than 2 hours, and just the flow of things made sense. I didn't have to question what's going on too much because right off the get go, they got to it. They got to it, and I liked it. I really, really. It kind of reminded me of kind of a early 2000s vibes type of movie. We don't have those movies anymore where they're real playful and they kind of get to the point, but it's bright and colorful as well, and we understand the plot. And we're not thinking left and right, and yeah, that was it. But we'll get through the movie and we'll go through what went down for the most part. So we get to April 18th, 2003. There's a party going on the death of two people that were killed by the Sweetly slasher. I think they're in this town called Sweetly, I believe. And but yes, the cops soon break up the party. Everyone's getting lit and whatnot. I had a party like that once in high school. I did not host it. I was there. And those high school parties get lit, coach. We had the cops break ours up too. But soon, yes, our main girl, well, one of our main girls, Summer, she is wandering off by herself. And I was like, oh, here we go. And soon the slasher, he's chasing her and chasing her. And eventually he does get the slash in, but then it cuts. Time cut. That's part of the theme. We cutting all over the place. But they cut the scene and then they get to the intro and whatnot. But yes, we end there and she's presumably dead. But we find out that, yes, this actually did happen 20 years ago, fictionally, in this story. The killer was a real thing. He killed 4 people back in the day, and it was 3 girls and 1 brother. Now, look, y'all. Why the brother always got to be the one to die in these movies, man? I know they did that a lot in the 2000s, but we can change things. That's the one thing I wanted to change. Why the brother got to die? Twice. Twice. That's my one. That's the only main issue I got with the movies. They got killed the brother, but that's what happens, y'all. That's just what happens. But yes, we find out that we meet our friend, our main character, Lucy Fields, Summer's sister, and we're in 2024 and 23, I guess. And she gets an internship with NASA. Now her parents are kind of like, whatever with her. Like she got an internship with NASA, and they just kind of seem like they're going through the motions. They don't seem like amazingly excited. They're like happy, but you could tell something's missing. And we don't find out immediately that they were sisters and whatnot, but soon the girl's family pulls up to the barn. Lucy's family pulls up to the barn, and her sister at her sister's grave site because that's where she got killed by the Sweetly Slasher, and they're paying their respects because I believe it's the anniversary of what happened. Well, Lucy goes into this barn, and there's this time machine. You know, that was the one kind of like question mark was this time machine is in the middle of this barn and nobody's seen it. Now, look, I ain't gonna get too deep into it, but they could have at least made it like somewhat hidden. Where she just didn't walk in this barn and say, "Oh my gosh, this time machine," blah 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 blah. That was a little Disney Plus for me. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. But she gets there and she sees a flashing light. She sees the flashing light from the barn. That's what makes her go towards there. And there's this energy that's suddenly generating and this big impulse. And so I don't know if we got the reason why it just randomly happened. I don't think she touched a button or anything like that. Maybe the Sweetly Slasher was who we find out soon to be, was traveling back in time and going to do his thing, and she just happened to be there at the same time, and it was reloading, refreshing, whatever it was. But it was just randomly flashing. I wish that was kind of we got an explanation for that, but we didn't. And suddenly, we find Lucy. Lucy finds herself in the barn. It's all cleaned up, and she walks outside, and she doesn't find her parents. She's looking around, and she goes to her high school and she finds out she's back in 2003. 2003 was a good time, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. One of the greater times in this country. I might say I'll say fun times because everything was authentic, everything wasn't manufactured, everything was blossoming. I'd say. You know, we had pop bands like NSYNC and B2K. We had the stars like Destiny or Beyonce, of course, still around. Christina Aguilera, Usher, like they was at the top of their games at this time. And so I was really loving the music, of course, throughout this whole thing. And the fashion was, looking back, the fashion was just throwing a whole bunch of stuff on and seeing what fits. I was wearing a lot of basketball jerseys back in 2003. I was in like elementary school still. But yes, we go back, and like I said earlier, I appreciate the effort and the details of what they did with the wardrobes and whatnot. And so I was like, okay, I like this. I like this. So she finds out that she's coming back to the past, and she finds this kid. She finds Quinn, and his kid Quinn's about to get thrown in the lake, and she saves him. Now, bullying was a high thing back in those days. Now, I was in elementary school. We didn't have bullying like that, but I can only imagine high school bullying. There were no phones to capture it. That was kind of like tradition at that point. Kids were really, really mean back in that day. Really mean. We didn't have cyberbullying, but I don't know what's worse, cyberbullying or actual bullying. So yeah, that was went down. And but she saves Quinn from getting thrown in the lake. She was Captain Save a Quinn. And she tells him, like, straight up, oh, I'm from the future, this, that, and the third. Can you help me get back? And he's shook. He's shook, as we all would. It's hard to believe, but she proves it. And he says, okay, we got to get the key card because her dad works for this program this space program, I believe, or something, the program that has the technology to get this device to help recharge the time machine and get her back to the future. And so she's like, all right, the plan set, we're going to get you back to the future. Bing, bada, boom. And she ends up meeting her family and her sister. So she was never alive when she was born after her sister died. So it was really cool to kind of see that and going back and being able to hang out with a relative or a close one that you would have been close with had they not passed is really crazy. It kind of can change your whole perspective and really get you understanding of why things are the way they are. She got a better understanding of why her parents are the way they are, why things around her are the way they are. And I really like that development. And I wanted to see more of that, to be honest. I wanted her to uncover more secrets of the past. And I just really enjoyed that part. It was real heartfelt because it seemed like it could be, I would have asked the same things and I would have kind of acted the same way. One thing I like about this movie is it didn't seem inauthentic. It seemed very real to the point of, okay, I would do that. I would do that. I would do that. So, yeah, and she had her iPhone too, which was I'm glad it didn't just disappear and dissolve and it wasn't that kind of fantasy land. But her iPhone was the way that she could tell they could tell she was from the future. I don't can imagine if I saw an iPhone in 2003, boy, I'm like I'm selling that, making a fortune. But oh, I would ask who you investing in if I had any knowledge like that. But soon, yes. Also, a little detail is at the beginning of the movie, she was taking an electric scooter, and then in 2003, she was taking a push scooter. I just like that little detail right there. But we soon get to. She finds out like, oh, the Sweetly Slasher. This is when he's about to kill some folks and whatnot. This is the night, and I want to save these people. And so the Quinn's like, well, we're gonna mess up the time space continuum. You can't mess up things in the past. They're gonna mess up things in the future. And this is a big conundrum. Would you save somebody if they were gonna die? You knew they were gonna die. Would you do it, and that would mess up the future? It's a real tough conundrum right there. Because the thing is, if she did something, she could cease to exist. Now, sometimes these time travel movies, it's like some of them are like, okay, if you mess up the past, it's gonna mess up you currently, or if you mess up the past, it's just gonna add an alternate parallel universe type stuff. Now, they didn't get that deep into the whole thing. They thought it was, but they didn't go that deep into it. I just think what happens in this time is just gonna happen this time, and then alternate universe, then what happens? Madison probably wasn't born, but that's just what's going down in this universe, which didn't really. It's complicated with time travel, y'all. The storylines can get all messed up and confluxed and whatnot. But anywho, I ain't gonna get it. That's a whole nother video I would have to make with that. But in tune, she decides to try and save her friend and this brother. And so what happens? They go to the mall. That's where they got killed at, and she finds a Sweetly Slasher. And the brother and the girl, they getting dressed. They trying on some clothes. The store's closing. The slasher comes up to the brother first, of course, and just gets a CD, and I believe just already. I'm like, bruh, not the brother. R.I.P. to my brother. But yes, a CD kills him, I guess you could say. I don't know if CDs were that strong, but that's what happens. And then the other girl, Valerie, she ends up getting killed as well, along with the security guard. So she's on the bottom of this escalator, and she's trying to get away. And the security guard, he sees it along with our main characters, Lucy and Summer. Well, more Lucy. I don't think Summer was there. Just Lucy. And she tries to help and save out, but she's unfortunately not able to do it. And I think the killer came up and got her hair or punched or like jammed her head into like the escalator or something like that. And then he just killed the security guard. No big deal. No breeze. Easy breezy, lemon squeezy, I mean. And so yeah, 3 people dead, just like that. And so she's traumatized, of course, and she's like, well, I gotta save somebody now. Like she got this guilty conscience, and I feel bad too. I'm like, look, somebody gotta get it. Somebody gotta get it. This killer is on his Freddy Krueger time. And so soon she ends up telling her sister that she's from the future, and she pulls out a note from Ethan to convince her that she's in the future. So Ethan's this like dude, he's this jock dude who likes Summer, but as soon as we find out that Summer does not have feelings back, but she has this note and or he has this note. Lucy has this note. And she shows it from Ethan to convince her like, "Oh, this is how I'm from the future and whatnot." Well, she soon fesses up about what's going to happen and what's how the Sweetly Slasher is killing people, and she tells her sister Lucy that. And they're like, all right, let's game. We gotta save the next one. Who's next? And it's Emmy. So Emmy's this lover. Well, Emmy and Summer have a love affair going on. They are soon to come out to be lesbian, we find out, and they secretly like each other. I think they're hiding their feelings for each other or something like that. We didn't get the whole backstory. I didn't know if they dated and they said we can't do this because it's 2003. That's really not acceptable at that time. And but anyways, they're not on the best of terms. But they go to this museum on this boat, and they split up, Scooby-Doo style. Dumb. I always say don't split up. And they look for Lucy to try and help her out. And eventually, they end up saving Lucy from the Sweetly slasher. So that is changed completely. Lucy is not the next victim on the table, and she gets out. And yeah, they getting chased by Jason Voorhees, and this dude, yeah, he's definitely doing his best impression of that, but he is unsuccessful. But they get away safe, like I said, and it turned, yeah, like I said, Summer is lesbian as well as Lucy, and she find soon Lucy finds out not Summer and Emmy are lesbian, and soon Lucy finds out that Quinn likes Summer, and she gotta have to break him the news. The news is not broken yet, but she's like, okay, like that's not gonna happen, and it's a problem. He's getting his heart broke, and this is if we don't forget, Quinn is the dude that was getting about to get thrown in the water. He's the guy that's getting bullied and whatnot. He doesn't have a bunch of friends, and Lucy or Summer eventually tells Lucy like what's popping for the most part, and then Lucy decides to tell Summer, hey, like you're next on the list. You are going to die next. And I'm glad that she's able to do that and didn't just like, oh, like it's gotta die and whatnot, and you just gotta go on with your business. No, she saved her sister. She a real one. Shout out Lucy in the building. And soon, Lucy and Quinn go to the Soner building, the building her dad works at, to get the tools needed to get Lucy back to the future. And we get the barn party going down simultaneously. Now, the barn party is the party that happened at the beginning of the movie. We get there, and soon Summer goes off by herself again for whatever reason. I do not know. I didn't get that part of why she got to the barn. I don't know if the plan. I thought the plan was like, okay, I'm gonna go off on my own, then we gonna jump this dude. But no, that wasn't the plan. It's like I don't get it. But yeah, she goes into the barn herself, and she's running from the killer again. And the slasher is coming after her, and he's about to get her. And all of a sudden, boom! Lucy and Quinn pull up in the barn, drive through it with the truck, knock the killer over. It looks like he's dead, but he's moving around a little bit after that. And soon we find out that the killer is Quinn from the future or the past. The future. It's Quinn from the future. And everyone's shook, like, oh my gosh. And then Quinn's even looking at himself. He's like, oh my gosh, that's me. I'm the killer. Ah. It was crazy. I like that twist because I was like, who is the killer? I was trying to figure it out because you don't get no indication that it's Quinn until maybe if you're slick with the detective work that you find out that, okay, he liked her and then she's lesbian. That would never happen, but there was no indication. And so we find out like, yes, Quinn is tight because, you know, he couldn't, Lucy rejects him, or no, Summer rejects him from the past. So past Quinn and past Summer couldn't work out because she's lesbian. She didn't like him, but she couldn't say the reason why. So basically, he was left thinking like, why not me? Why not me? And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna be tight and petty and kill her because of this, which is kind of insane. A little much for somebody getting rejected. I mean, come on, Quinn. But anywho, that was mainly his reason. And people were picking on him and bullying and whatnot, and that's why he was killing all these folks. Now, I didn't see the brother about to throw him in the water earlier, but hey, maybe he did, and I got to rewatch that part. But anywho, that's his motive on wanting to come back and kill these people because they were bullies, essentially. Treat everyone with kindness, y'all. But yes, soon they run Lucy, Quinn, and Summer, the trio, run back to Quinn's time machine in the garage. They're trying to get the time machine working. And Future, yes, Quinn says why he did what he did, like I just said. And Lucy soon activates the time machine and brings her and Quinn, the grown Quinn, not the kid Quinn, the future Quinn, back to the future where they came from. And they get in a tussle. They start going at it and whatnot. And Lucy eventually she gets her Laura Croft on. She gets her Kate on if you watch the fight recently and do and kills this dude. She kills dude and she stabs him. And yeah, so that's what happened there and she goes on with her life. She saved the past. Things in the future, strangely enough, I'm just curious because we didn't get to see this part. She kills him and then it just goes black. Since she killed him, and he did not kill past Sister Lucy or Summer, shouldn't there be a future Summer now? But that's the whole thing with the time space continuum. There's different parallel universes and whatnot. We didn't get that far, and the writers were like, "Look, we can't add all that in here. Okay, this is not Dragon Ball Super. Okay, we can't do this time travel ness going down. So it just turns black, and then ultimately we get back to the past in 2003, and they're like, oh, Lucy, or not Lucy, Summer and Quinn are like, oh, I miss Lucy, this, that, and the third, and then all of a sudden Lucy appears. It's like, I'm back. And they're like, oh, you came back. Why? And she's like, oh, the future wasn't really that great. I still don't have any friends. I'm still just whatever. I think I belong in this time zone. So you know how people say sometimes, oh, I belong here in a different time zone. Like some people say, I should have grown up in the 80s. I should have grown up in the 90s. And that's basically what time she was on. And so she decided to stay there, and they live happily ever after, I believe. And that was the movie, y'all. Look, the plot was simple. I don't like too decisive of a plot where in Matrix settings where I gotta think and what's going on like the 24/7, and I gotta pay attention thoroughly the entire time forcefully. I casually paid attention, and it was very entertaining and very easy to follow. This movie had everything from killing to drama to lesbian love to the whole nine. And I liked it. I did like it. So I recommend this movie. Check it out. Time Cut on Netflix. I believe it's still top 10. I could be wrong. But yes, y'all check it out. Let me know what you think. Did you like this plot? Do you like the Back to the Future settings? And do we want a time cut too? Maybe a parallel universe. I just kind of want to see like parallel, but anywho, y'all, check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we out here, y'all. Appreciate you for joining me. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked this review. Oh yeah, and I'd give the movie about it. I'd give it honestly an 8 out of 10. It was quality for what it was given. It was quality. I'm hard on these movies too, and I really enjoyed this one. So check it out, y'all. Till then, peace, blessings, deuces, and we